Morning. Today we're off to Copenhagen. It's been an ultra busy few months. My feet haven't really hit the ground. We've been doing nice things like trips and holidays and birthday parties and stuff. We've been doing the serious things like the IVF, and I've been doing lots and lots of work, millions of hours of work it feels like. So I feel a bit like my feet haven't hit the ground for the last few months. Our plane's sometime later this afternoon. I've not packed yet. I think Tamsin sorted out all the passports and stuff, though we don't have any tickets printed yet, so I need to get cracking on that as well. But anyway, the first day of the holiday is going to be a mad, desperate packing rush and trip up to Bristol to go on holiday. What I'm really hoping is that while we're there we have a few quiet days so I can sit by the pool in the sun with my book. As the temperatures are just above freezing though, I have a sneaky feeling that might not be the case. We've got loads of plans. We are going to see The Little Mermaid and we are going to the Christmas markets. The Christmas markets are the main priority. Interestingly, the Christmas markets are actually located in one of the theme parks which were the inspiration for Walt Disney World. So I will tell you more about that particular theme park when we get there. But for now, I guess I better get packing. Cut to a quick artistic shot of Case and then back again. Manic packing done, and now we just need to get the cases into the car and get driving and go to the service station and pass through there and get to the airport and get to the park and ride and all those other things in no particular order. And then I think maybe I need to have a beer at the airport because I'm feeling just a little bit overwhelmed by everything right now. Off we go. And here we are at Bristol Airport. Thankfully, the stress levels have gone down a tiny little bit by now. I think the real challenge was the fact that I'd been working yesterday and the day before and the day before that from 8 AM until about 9 PM, which meant that I'd not really had any chance to prepare or pack or do anything, so it all felt a bit rushed this morning. But we are here in plenty of time. All the check-in gates are completely empty at the moment and they're not even open yet, so that's good news. The traffic on the way was thankfully really good. When we are travelling from rural Cornwall, it's always important to leave plenty of time because you never know when you're going to run into a bit of traffic. Some parts of the country are permanently gridlocked, but we don't really get that, which means that most of the time you have a nice smooth drive, but every so often your drive takes about 10 hours longer than you expect. Tamsin's currently chomping at the bit to go and stand somewhere different while we wait, so we'd better go and find a different place to stand. We're just waiting for the gate to open and I've treated myself to a beer, $7.99. It's not even in a fancy glass. And our next point of call is the departure lounge. I've now got a beer in me, so I'm feeling much happier. Plane's just pulled up outside, which has Ryanair written on the side, and as we are flying with Ryanair, that looks like a positive thing as well. So fingers crossed we're all on schedule to be on time. That's us taken off, we're on our way. Really smooth takeoff, the engine's making a very strange noise, so I'm trying not to think too much about that. What I didn't realise is that this camera's got a little gyroscope in it, so if I turn around, it tilts in a really weird way. How exciting is that? Anyway, Tamsin's up for her first toilet break, so I thought I'd just do a quick video. And then I'm just going to read my book for a little while and enjoy the flight. And also look forward to having a drink of something, because my lips are really dry. And that's touchdown in Denmark. It's quite a nice little airport. And that's passport control done. That was really super slick. Does anyone else find that when you go through passport control and they ask where you've just come from, you can never remember? Like, it's not the most difficult question in the world. You know, you've just come from the airport, you live in the country, you kind of should know the answer to it. But No, when they ask you, it's like, I don't know, maybe Cyprus? And we've just used one of the trains, which really puts the UK trains to shame. Got one more metro to go, and then hopefully we're within walking distance of where we need to be. And that's us here at the Airbnb. It kind of reminds me a bit of a student's accommodation. Actually, even the smell, it's a little bit weird. I've not smelt that smell for, let's say 5 years. But yeah, it smells exactly like a student's accommodation. It looks okay though. Let's go in and have our first look at the room though. So, an okay little bed, a little sitting area, perhaps the world's tiniest kitchen there. And I'm guessing in here is a toilet, otherwise we're in trouble. And there we go, nice little bathroom without a bath, a shower room and a toilet and a sink. So it is tiny, but it looks absolutely okay. Right, we've been here about 30 seconds and I've just found something. How cute is this? It says, "Hey Tamsin, so happy you're here." And they've also done some chocolate and some coffee. Coffee's really important. Good morning. So it is day one in Copenhagen. We got in quite late, we were pretty exhausted, but at the same time I was absolutely buzzing from rushing around all day. So I lay in bed until about 2 o'clock in the morning, absolutely unable to sleep, which meant we had a little bit of a lie-in. So it's now actually not really morning, it's kind of getting close to lunchtime. So our first job of the day is to nip down to the local supermarket and see if we can afford any food to eat. Apparently Copenhagen is really expensive, so it might be that we're mostly not going to eat this week. I suspect I might not waste away to nothing, so that's probably going to be okay. But we are going to go and do a bit of shopping, see how much everything is, see what a Copenhagen shop looks like, because every supermarket around the world just is a bit of a different thing. And I don't know if anyone's ever really looked around or done it, but it's really interesting to see the different sorts of foods that are available. I think you can get a lot of insights into the local population and ethos, as well as the eating habits when you go around the supermarket. Also, another interesting thing about the local population ethos, at least at first glance, we've got a building opposite us, and it's obviously an accommodation building. You can see straight into everyone's kitchens, so you can just see everyone making their breakfast or lunch, as it might be by now. I find that really quite interesting. I don't know if the people in Denmark just don't care if people sort of see them going about their business, or whether they're the sort of people who don't really look out of the windows and give each other a lot of privacy. If anyone knows, feel free to tell me, although I'll probably Google it before the end of the holiday. As I say though, off to the supermarket. So if anyone's interested, the place that we're staying at is called Bob W, which stands for Best of Both Worlds. Basically, it's sort of a halfway house between being a hotel and being an Airbnb. It's got the tiny little kitchen, you've got the freedom to sort of come and go and kind of live a little bit on your own, which is quite nice. I think I've gone off hotels a little bit, especially for city breaks. But anyway, it just gives you a bit more freedom when you're wanting to explore the city, which is exactly what we were after. And we are off to the Netto supermarket. A little bit breezy. This is our first look inside a Copenhagen supermarket. It's got a really Scandinavian feel to it, and I just can't put my finger on exactly what makes it feel that way. Tamsin's super impressed with the vegan selection. That's us back from our shopping trip with a whole load of local goodies. It cost us about 305 Danish kroner, which works out about £34 for a couple of big bags of shopping. Expensive, but actually probably about the same as back home, possibly even a little bit cheaper. I've got exciting things like Danbo 45 plus cheese. No idea what that's going to be. I'm guessing that it's a mild one. It looked like it was local, so I thought I'd give it a try and try something completely different. So I'm having a sandwich. They had lots of choice in the supermarket, lots of different kinds of ham and salmon and that sort of thing, though I don't want to have ham and salmon and stuff in the Airbnb, so it is cheese for me. However, I've also got myself a bit of smoky barbecue sauce, which will make everything taste a bit more smoky and barbecuey. Tamsin's just making her sandwich at the moment. Unfortunately, the kitchen area isn't big enough for us both to prepare lunch at the same time, so I am queued up and waiting my turn to go next. And that's lunch eaten, and we are now off on our first little adventure of the holiday to Falledparken. If there's anyone Danish watching who can possibly record how to pronounce these words, I would be forever grateful, please, thank you. Anyway, Falledparken's just a short walk away from where we are, so I've got my proper camera and we're going to go and have a little look. I'm wrapped up like an Eskimo because it's a bit chilly and windy here, but I am now baking hot because we're still inside, so I'd better get going. And I think we're just coming up to the park now. We're slightly underwhelmed so far. I think we sort of thought that it was going to be one of those pretty parks, but actually it is more of a football field kind of park. Obviously there's nothing actually wrong with that, but we were just hoping for some pretty scenery and trees and that kind of thing. That said, there are a couple of trees around. Tamsin's just found another bit of the park which looks slightly prettier, so we are walking down a path to that now. This bit of the park has a nice pond and is definitely prettier. Interestingly, in the background we can hear some loud music over a loudspeaker. I'm not sure whether there's some sort of football match on or what's going on, but yeah, we'll try and get a bit closer over the course of the afternoon. Just to keep things multicultural, when I talk about football, I'm meaning the type of football that people play with their feet rather than the type of football that people play with their hands. Well, that was a really nice bit with ducks and some geese and some giant herons. I kind of wish we had some seeds to feed them with, though I think that's all of the pretty bit done, and we are now back to football fields again. There's also one duck looking at me expectantly. I think the next trip to the supermarket might be to buy some seeds. Anyway, that was the park with the unpronounceable name. I'm not sure if I'm doing star ratings or anything, but if I do decide to do a star rating, I would give this a solid 3 stars. Absolutely fine, nothing wrong with it, but not particularly exciting either. Probably not worth a visit unless you want to feed the ducks, which I kind of do, or want to play football, which I definitely don't. However, we have now found the source of the music I was talking about earlier. There is a big football stadium and it looks like there is some sort of football game going on at the moment. The doors are open, the lights are on, and there's clearly stuff happening. And that's Tamsin and me on the world's biggest seesaw. There's space for about 6 people and it is seriously an impressively long seesaw. There will hardly ever see seesaws anymore because the UK's banned them because kids probably maim themselves on them or something. Anyway, world's biggest seesaw, very impressive. We've just found another cute bit to the park and we have found a Stargate. So I think that probably deserves an extra half star. walking through Copenhagen, another really interesting thing that I notice is the number of bikes. And not just the number of bikes, but the fact that none of them seem to be locked up when they're parked. But I'm really surprised just to see bikes sitting around, none of them properly locked up. If you lived in London, you could use a steel bar to fasten your bike to an angry and enraged rhino, and someone would still manage to steal it within about 5 minutes. So yeah, having no bikes locked up is just strange in a good way. Well, I'm talking about transport. Another thing I find really interesting about the transport system is the traffic light system. Now, what they have is a system where a green light means go, and a red light also appears to mean go as well. If a green man comes on to cross the road, it doesn't actually stop the traffic, so you just have to kind of hope that the driver that's coming towards you stops before they run you down. So you do need to be careful if you don't want to have that run-down feeling at the end of the day. For instance, look at that, the green man's out, the traffic lights are on red for that direction, but there's still people trying to plough their way over the pedestrian crossing through the red light. They are giving the pedestrians the right of way at least, but ploughing through a red light and into the pedestrian area doesn't seem like the most sensible traffic system in the world. We're going to take our life into our hands and cross the road here. There is a 7-Eleven. It looks like the 7-Eleven franchise is trying to take over Copenhagen, so I feel like we should go in and have a little look. I think we might have got a little bit lost. We're miles away from where we're supposed to be, though Tamsin's just looked at the map and apparently there's some water nearby. Oh, water. And there's even a teeny weeny little cruise ship. Apparently that's a booze cruise that goes to Amsterdam. And just to remind everyone, in the next few months there will be a video of our cruise coming out. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of this video, including our visit to the market, which is possibly going to be tomorrow or the next day, depending on the weather. We're on our way back to the Airbnb now, but I have to say Copenhagen at night is really pretty, so I just thought I'd film it a little bit. There's also so much choice of nice restaurants. We're back to the Airbnb after a lovely evening walk. According to our step counter, we've done 12,500 steps. Anyway, now it's time for me to make a little bit of dinner. Thankfully, I was organised and I came prepared. I've got a whole load of herbs and spices and things which I made up. So what I'm going to make is pasta with a tomato sauce with various herbs and spices and flavourings. Nice and simple because we've only actually got 2 hobs to work with and no microwave and no oven and actually nothing apart from the 2 hobs. So let's see what I can manage. Dinner was a success. Now it's just time for some IVF medication and bed after playing on a baby Commodore 64. It's now day 2 and we are off to Tivoli to see the Christmas market and the fun fair. We managed to get completely lost trying to get out of the Airbnb. The ground floor button took us to the basement and the next floor up took us to the first floor, so we had a bit of a job trying to find the floor in between the two to find the exit. Anyway, we've somehow managed to end up in the car park, but we've escaped the building, so yay. Massive success. We've also managed to find a shortcut to the supermarket, which is quite exciting, and there appears to be a row of Teslas charging outside. Also, this is the back of our building. And up there, that is our room. One of the things I'm finding really strange around here is how empty it is. I feel a bit like I'm in one of those apocalyptic dramas. think we managed to avoid a major rainfall while we were on the tube. We've just come out and it is absolutely soaking everywhere. Though no rain now, so that counts as perfect timing in my book. And yet again, I'm absolutely amazed at how many bikes there are everywhere. Attitudes must be completely different though. For instance, the town where I am, we have one cycle route, and if anyone ever has the audacity to use it, it gets posted on the local notice board and you get people saying that the cyclists should get thrown in the river, and that's for using the one and only cycle route in the town. So definitely a few extra marks for Denmark there for environmental awareness. And again, look at all the cycles around me. This is some sort of cycle parking thing. Multi-storey cycle park, which is very impressive. The area also smells a little bit of poo, so I don't know if they've got problems with the sewage, but still I am impressed overall, even if I do have to hold my nose a little. I've possibly worked out why it smells like a toilet here. And here we are at Tivoli. And that's us almost back, just time for some quick dinner before we get back to our hotel Airbnb room place. And we're back to Bob W, so time to retire for the night. Bye. Day 3, it's a bit colder today. Day 4. Day 3, unfortunately, was a complete write-off. By the time we were up and about, it started raining and sleeting and snowing and all that kind of stuff. My shoes leaked a little bit. So by the time we'd finished our lunch, it was sort of too late to actually do anything for the day. Anyway, today we are apparently off to something called colourful houses. From the way that they've been described to me, I'm guessing that they are houses and they are probably also colourful. Here we are down at the new harbour, which is very pretty as well. It's got a local name I cannot pronounce. Again, anyone from Denmark, I would really appreciate some help with pronunciation here. I've stopped to take a few photographs and I think everyone else in the world is doing exactly the same, which should probably tell you something. Apparently the far side of the river is the best place to see everything, so we're going to wander up here and then turn around and go back and have a little look at the Christmas market stalls on the other side. Fingers crossed that this Christmas market will be a little bit better than the Tivoli one, but there's only one way to find out. And we've crossed over the river now, so we're just having a little look around. We're starting at the quiet end of the street. Looks like there's a few nice restaurants and cafes and things around. Obviously, there's also lots of boats, which are really quite cool. They all look like quite traditional boats, so I'm not sure if they're used for fishing or if they're houseboats or if they're just here for show or what. A few of them are decorated, so they do look like they've been turned into pubs and bars and cafes and things. For instance, this one's obviously a restaurant. They've called it Orange. And as you can see from the menu, they have all sorts of exotic foods, such as canned seafood or fish croquettes. Anyone who's interested, a tin of sardines will cost you 95 kroner, which is close to £10. Bargain. They also have little boat cruises down the river. I will see if I can add on some prices later. The boats look really empty at the moment, so I presume that they are busier in the summer. For anyone wondering, it's about 1 degree out today, which isn't too cold because it's not windy, but I am needing to put my hood up now because my ears are starting to feel a bit numb. That reminds me of PE at school. And here I now am at the Christmas market. First impressions, it looks like it's going to be another disappointment. I can see a little waffle stall behind me open, but everywhere else seems to be closed. So I must say, so far, Copenhagen's not doing particularly well for the Christmas markets. I don't think I'd be recommending anyone comes here for a Christmas market in the future. That said, I've only just reached it and I'm only just on the outskirts, so maybe it will get better as I get further in. I'd like to buy some Christmas decorations, please. Oh well, thank you anyway. Rubbish. Well, maybe I'm being a bit harsh. They've just opened up a stall next to me that sells socks, so I had better activate the Tamsin Tracker 2000 and try and find her and let her know that the stalls might be opening. No idea where she's gone. Speed that she was walking off, probably Berlin by now. Okay, so there's lots of places opening now. It looks like Copenhagen is maybe somewhere that doesn't open until after lunchtime. That's another thing for me to Google when we get home, unless anybody knows who's watching the video. It's definitely something that is worth knowing in advance, though. Most of the stalls so far are either selling woolen socks or glog. I'm not entirely sure what glog is, so I'm kind of tempted to try it at some point. I feel like I've just walked through the middle of a business lunch there. Anyway, I think that Christmas market gets 2 stars. After the disappointing ice skating rink at Tivoli, should I say plastic skating rink, we've just stumbled across an ice skating rink. Well, it looks promising. There's little piles of shoveled snow around and there's lots of people falling over, which is usually promising. Tamsin suggested we go to a food court for lunch. I think it might be these porter cabins. Starting to get a little bit peckish now, and I'm just walking past a chocolate shop. On second look, maybe not. I'm not totally sure why a florist has an advert for chocolates outside. Maybe it's just to taunt me. While we're on the hunt for places to eat, I have just seen what looks like the world's most impressive ever Helter Skelter. And it's now starting to sleet a little bit, so we are going to see if we can go inside the tower I've just seen the prices, maybe not. That's a little bit disappointing. It looked quite nice in there, but never mind. I don't think we really want to see the inside of a church enough to pay about £15 between the two of us, even if it does look like it's got a helter-skelter on the top. What a rip-off. Well, we have just stumbled across a place called Christiana, and apparently it's a free town where you can buy weeds and stuff. In essence, Christiana is an anarchic free town which considers itself to be separate from the Copenhagen legal system. My impression was that it was inhabited by Earth Mothers and free thinkers, which is probably why they were so scared of modern technology such as cameras. And that's us out of Christiana. It's a pretty interesting place. It's quite run down, lots of graffiti, lots of cannabis shops. Everywhere seems closed. In fact, that's one of the things that I've noticed about Copenhagen generally. Everywhere just seems to be closed all the time. It wasn't a threatening place. In fact, it was generally just pretty empty with not many people around. As I say, they don't really like you taking videos. There's not really much to say about it. It's just a little ramshackle town. So it's coming up to lunchtime now. I really fancy something like a steak or seafood. So we have found a nice little vegan restaurant, and like everything else in Copenhagen, it seems to be closed. Right in the middle of Copenhagen, we've just found a giant ice skating rink. We didn't actually go on the other ice skating rink, it looked more like a children's one, but this one looks an awful lot more impressive anyway. It doesn't look open at the moment, but maybe later we will come back. Or maybe not, let's see. And Tamsin's now having another shot at finding us somewhere to eat. We will possibly be trying Rivage. Or not, as the case might be. One of the things I'm finding really difficult here is all the cycle lanes. Sometimes a footpath is a footpath and the cycle lane's on the road. Sometimes the cycle lane is on the footpath, sometimes it's a combined one. You never really know until an annoyed looking cyclist comes up behind you far too fast. And another non-veggie place. So sadly none of the nice restaurants have any vegetarian options, so we are off for a slice of pizza. Okay, so we are not having pizza. It is a 109 krona, which is about £11 for one slice of pizza. I think there's a word for that, and I probably better not put it on YouTube. So we've finally found an affordable little Italian restaurant. Tamsin's ordered a hot chocolate, which has come out and is actually half foam. I was going to get some glog, but they don't serve tap water, and I was thirsty as well, and the Coca-Cola is about £6 a piece, so I've just had a Coke instead. Unfortunately, Copenhagen is really not impressing us today. I've eaten now and I'm feeling just a little bit happier despite having been completely ripped off at Pizzeria Venezia. Just looking at our bill, it was 119 krona for a margherita pizza, 164 krona for a penne salmone. Now the pizza was actually all right. The pasta was salty and a little bit stingy with the salmon as well, so not brilliant. On top of that, it was 57 krona for a Pepsi, a pint of Pepsi, and 45 krona for Tamsin's half foam, half hot chocolate. So altogether, that comes to about 46 UK pounds for a really mediocre lunch. But we're not hungry anymore, and it was edible, so I suppose we've got to balance those two things up together. So now that we've eaten, the next on our visit list is a church. It's a round church instead of a helter-skelter church. I'm starting to spot a little bit of a theme emerging with the church styles around here. I'm probably holding out for the star-shaped church personally. On our way there though, there appears to be a palace, so we will probably pop in there first. Or if the prices are anything like everywhere else, we'll probably look at it from the outside and not go in. And here I am at the palace. There is a gorgeous big courtyard and a person on a horse in the middle. There's a few sort of beefeater people walking around, so they are guarding the outside, which makes me think it probably is a royal residence or something along those lines. Anyway, as I say, the highlight is the person on the horse. So there is a bit of further information on the horse statue, which tells us Frederico Quinto Clementi Pacifico Artium Tutori Atius Grata Felix. There you go. So it's now about 3 p.m. and the sun's already starting to go down, and it is starting to get a little bit chilly, so the hood is going up and the jacket has been zipped up. And I'm already thinking how nice it would be to get back to have a nice hot chocolate. And we're now approaching Circle Church. That was quite a pretty church, and surprisingly we didn't even have to pay to get in, which was nice. Not a patch on the cathedrals in Prague, I have to say, but compared to the little church in Bude, it was very impressive. The next leg on today's tour is some park. It looks a little bit like Hyde Park in London. Apparently it's called Rosenberg's Slot. So whoever Rosenberg is, this is their slot. According to Tamsin, this is the garden outside of a palace. Actually, she's probably right, because I can see a palace-like building in the distance, that way. So we're heading over there now. Behind me, it's apparently the King's Palace. The palace is guarded by a statue of a lion and a weird lion monkey chimera. Apparently this palace was built by Christian No. 4. You also have to pay to get in. We'll go and have a look at the prices now, but I'm guessing it's extortionate. Okay, there's soldiers wandering around with machine guns in there. I'm just wandering over to the ticket office to see how extortionate it actually is. Alright then, that was the toilets rather than the ticket office. £15 each. We have decided that that's enough for one day. We're going to go and jump on the metro and head off back.